Okay, so thanks, Marissa, for coming back. It's nice to see you again. This is our third meeting, and in our last two meetings, you had talked about how your director in your department at work had suddenly been fired, and all of a sudden you're being thrown into the director position, and you just feel like you're completely underqualified for that job, and you don't know how you're going to go. Well, you don't know if you're going to take it. You don't know if you're going to like just quit altogether. You don't know what you're going to do. So how are you feeling today? How's everything going right now?
I still feel very overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in shock that this happened and that it's happening so fast. Like, I would have never thought that my supervisor would have been fired in the first place, and I never would have thought that I would have been the one taking her position. Like, that's just
Right.
all seems crazy to me, and I'm still trying to process it, and I don't know. I'm still the same as that.
Right. Well, at least you're still there. Everything's still going fine for right now. All right. So what we have today is we're going to use this thought record that we're going to fill out together. You get to come up with all the answers because like you're the expert on what's going on right now. So I'm just going to be here to kind of talk you through it and help you figure out like what each question is referring to.
Okay.
So we're going to start under the situation column. And the first question is, what actual event or stream of thoughts led to the unpleasant emotion? So what leads you to the anxiety that you feel in these situations?
Well, it really started when my supervisor got fired. She's the director of our organization, and I was in my office, and a worker came in there, well, the vice president, so
that's stressful enough.
Say no to anything they asked you to do, and they just kind of told me that she was let go and that I was gonna be the one to take her position, and I just kind of froze. And they were gonna start to set up the paperwork for me, and I just didn't really know. It just all happened so fast, and I don't know. I never asked for it, so I was confused.
And what happened to you physically when she sat down in front of you and told you, hey, you're about to be one of the most important people in this organization? What happened to you physically?
I started to shake, and it was like a tremble of my hands, and I had like shortness of breath. I felt like the room was like closing in on my chest, and I couldn't breathe. And I was sweating, like it wasn't cute, but I was sweating, and I felt lightheaded. Like I said, I was overwhelmed, and it was a lot that I had to process at that exact time, and so I think my body was just kind of like in shock, and I probably would have passed out had the vice president not been sitting in front of me, because that would have been embarrassing, and I was going to get fired next. So,
well, it sounds like you had maybe like a small little panic attack.
Yeah.
But what did you do to stop that? Like, what did you do to stop from passing out in front of the vice president? Like, how did you calm yourself down in the situation?
I kind of I had a glass of water there, so I just took a glass of water and I just sipped on it. And when she was there, I mean, she was kind of giving me a lot of more information about the position and kind of what happened. Not disclosing any like confidential information, but she was just telling me that, she believes in me and that I was the first person that she thought of. So the fact that my vice president has so much confidence in me and that she believed in me, it kind of like brought me back down. And then I do yoga, so I just did some breathing exercises. But it was like back and forth. Like I would calm down, and then I think about how much she's expecting of me, and then I'll start back up again. Like, how soon is this going to be?
Yeah, it's good that you have some techniques identified to calm yourself down when something like this happens. Because worst case scenario, you would have passed out.
Yeah.
But even if you had passed out, it would have been okay. She would have panicked, and then she would have made sure you were okay, and then we would have continued the conversation later on a different day. But it was good that you were able to relax yourself without going full on the floor or anything.
Yeah.
So we're going to move over to the automatic thought column. And an automatic thought is your knee-jerk reaction to when something happens. It's the first thought that pops into your head, whether it's negative or positive. But in this scenario, they're most likely negative because you immediately thought, I'm not good enough for this. And then you immediately started stressing out about it. Instead of thinking, oh, cool, a job opportunity, you thought, I'm not good enough for this.
Yeah.
So what thoughts went through your mind? What thoughts or images went through your mind when she told you, like the second she told you, you're going to be our new director? What were your initial thoughts and images?
Well, because of me and being in school and me trying to get, further in my career, this is like the best place for me to work. And I've made so many like emotional connections with my clients and my coworkers, and I've kind of like started from the bottom and made myself into the person that I am and the worker that I am by being a coordinator. And that's been like my dream. Like, I can't even believe that's happening. And so the fact that this has started to happen so fast, I was really worried that my coworkers wouldn't respect me in that position because I'm younger than some of them, and some of them have been there more, a lot longer than me, and some of them have just more experience in the area. And so I just thought that like my coworkers, they wouldn't respect me, and especially if I turned the job down. I mean, that's the biggest thing to me, is that I don't know if my vice president had already told people or if what the word was going around, but I know that they have me to higher expectation as well. And I know that they would still be happy for me, even though they've been there longer, but I think they'll be more upset if I didn't take the job. So it concerns me too. It's just like, I don't want them to be upset with me that I didn't take the job and think that I was not too good for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because that would be a lot of pressure on you, because all these people are expecting you to say yes when you may not want to say yes.
Right. Exactly it. And I guess another feeling would be, I feel like majorly underqualified. Like, I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that I meet the qualifications. Like, if I were to fill out this application and they didn't know me, I don't think they would have given me the job. So like, why? If I still don't meet the criteria for it, why offer me the job when I don't necessarily deserve it? I don't know. I just feel majorly underqualified. Like, I'm not ready for this, and it kind of goes with like, if I do take it, I feel like I'm gonna get fired that first week. So I don't know. It's just a lot of pressure. Like, even if I do take it and I like it, I feel like because I'm underqualified, majorly underqualified, that I'm not going to get the job. And like, never mind, we take it back, and I don't have a job at all.
So on a scale of 0 to 100, how, like a percentage, what percent did you believe the automatic thought that you had about how your coworkers won't respect you if you turn down the job?
I would say probably 75%, just because, like I said, I know that they would kind of, like, some of them would still support me regardless of what I decide to do. I know that that's just like, for me, I just feel like they'll be upset. Like, if I do take it, and they will take it the wrong way, more personal about them than more about me. It's like a 75%, because I don't even want to deal with that at all.
What percent did you believe that you're majorly underqualified for that position?
Like 99%. It's like only 1% in my head that's just like, you could do this. And then there's 99% that's just like, no, you'll never be qualified to do this job. So.
And the last one, what percent would you give the idea that you'll be fired the first week of being the director?
100%.
You think you're so underqualified that you would be fired that first week as the director?
I do. I don't believe that. I don't believe that I will succeed in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, then that will lead us over to the emotions column.
Okay.
What emotion did you feel at the time when she sat you down and told you you're going to be our director as soon as we get this paperwork figured out?
I felt anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just because there was a lot going on, and I had all those thoughts that we just talked about going through my head, like I'm not qualified, and I don't know if she had already talked to other people before me and they took the job, or my coworkers would they wouldn't respect me if I turned it down. I don't know. Like, there was just a lot going on. So I just felt anxious, and it was all happening so fast, and I didn't know when she would want me to start, and I left my job now, and I didn't know how to explain that to people. And so it's just a lot of just like anxiousness. And I guess I will also say that I was embarrassed. I don't even know why, but I guess all the stuff that was going on with my body, like,
right, you started sweating and
yeah, in front of the vice freaking president, like, how embarrassing is that? And I was also embarrassed because my supervisor got fired. So
right.
what does it say about me and, the leadership that I was under? And I really did adore her. I didn't have any issues with her or any complications with her. And so I liked the way that she ran things. I didn't have a problem with it. And so if I were to do things and take her position, I would do things the way that she had it.
Right.
It's embarrassing to like look up to someone and them not be who you thought they were, not have what people think of me, as my own person. Like, I still look up to her a lot, and I don't think anything would necessarily change, which would lead me back to my anxiety, like just constantly like, what am I to do? I'm not qualified to do this. Like, someone else who's had more success or been under someone who's had success.
So on that percentage again, how intense was the anxiety that you felt when she told you?
My anxious. I would say 100%.
Yeah, because it went straight into your anxiety attack.
Yeah.
So that's straight to 100.
Yeah.
And then for embarrassed, what percent? How intense was that emotion?
That was about 95, like right after my anxiousness. That was like the second emotion that I really felt like that got brought up. I was just embarrassed, like, why me? Why now? Like, why did my supervisor, like, no one really told me anything? So I was embarrassed. I'll say that was like 95%.
And what would you give the feeling of not being good enough, the inadequacy that you felt?
I would give it a 70. Not too intense. It's like a little bit more than I probably should feel, but not enough to where it's like completely overtaken me, like when I was embarrassed or felt in my anxiety.
Okay. So for this next section, it is adaptive response. And there's this list of cognitive distortions. And I have picked 3 of them out that I feel like best describe your situation and like how you're coping with this just load being dropped onto your shoulders all of a sudden.
Okay.
And so I'll read you the definition and give you the example of why I think that fits you. And then you can agree, disagree, you can add whatever you want, take away whatever you don't think is true, and then we'll just move on from there, okay?
Okay.
So the first one that I gave you is disqualifying the positive. The definition of that is you reject positive experiences by insisting they don't count for some reason or other. In this way, you can maintain a negative belief that is contradicted by your everyday experiences. So I said that this one applied to you because your coworkers are always giving you examples of how you're doing amazing work, how they love working under you. You're a great leader. You set a great example for the youth that you work with. but you just can't seem to get past the idea that you would just fail horribly as a director. How does that sound?
That sounds absolutely right. Like, I know that I'm good at my job now, and I know that I do love it, and my coworkers definitely give me compliments, and I've actually won several awards because of my position that I'm in and the work that I've done and the change that I've been able to make. And of course, I wasn't able to do that alone. I don't take
Mm-hmm.
any credit like individually by myself. I always like to thank my staff or my coworkers who I work with and who work under me. And I just couldn't imagine just being a director still. Like, although I kind of meet the qualifications of what a director should be, and I have like those leadership skills,
Mm-hmm.
some experience in the area. I just, regardless of that, regardless of what people tell me and what they believe, I still don't think I'll be a good director. I still think I'm
Mm-hmm.
first week.
Oh. So I also gave you jumping to conclusions, the fortune teller error. And the definition of that is you anticipate that things will turn out badly and you feel convinced that your prediction is an already established fact. And I say this because you have no evidence saying that you would be a terrible director, but you just feel like you would be horrible in that position. You think that you would just ruin the entire department, just bring the whole thing down in shambles, and then your coworkers will lose all respect for you because they liked you as a coordinator, but apparently you can't handle being a director. So you feel, and then you feel like they wouldn't like you because you would be like the big bad boss that nobody likes. So does that one seem to match your situation?
Yeah, I mean, now that you say that, yeah, I do jump to conclusions, and I do expect that my role will end up being kind of the result of my supervisor, and that I'm
Mm-hmm.
fired, or I'll I'll do something even worse than she did. Like, she just got to leave. I feel like I would just destroy the entire agency or department. Like,
Mm-hmm.
under my leadership, nothing will be successful, and that no one will get the help that and resources that they need.
Mm-hmm. And the last one that I gave you is emotional reasoning,
Okay.
which is you assume that your negative emotions necessarily reflect the way things really are. I feel it, therefore it must be true. And I gave you this one, which goes back to the lack of evidence that you would be bad at it in the first place. You say that there's no proof that you would be bad at the job. You just feel like you would be. You're just afraid that you might be. Does that one fit?
Yeah, for sure.
So now we are going to use different questions. We're going to think of an alternative response to maybe try to, whether you have to consciously do it the first few times to make you start kind of thinking more positively and don't just automatically jump to worst case scenario, like think through some of the other options and some of the other ways that you can handle the situation.
Okay.
So what is the evidence that the automatic thought is true? What's the evidence that your automatic thought of, I'm going to fail my first week of being a director is true?
I guess there isn't any, as far as I can remember. None.
So let's pretend that this situation was happening to one of your coworkers.
Okay.
What would you tell your coworker if she were in the same situation?
Well, my coworker, Kiana, if she were in the same situation, I would be more positive because I would want her to know that, she would be successful because, she's a strong-willed person, and she's always been able to do whatever she puts on her mind, and whatever comes to her, she's always been able to tackle it and
Mm-hmm.
do with such grace. And whatever she puts her mind to, she accomplishes it. So I would want her to feel like she's capable, and um, I would tell her to take the promotion. Like, I would try to
Mm-hmm.
be as encouraging as I could because Kiana has a lot of knowledge regarding the center and the agency, and she knows resources, and I think that she would flourish at the new jobs. So I think she would be great at it, and I would encourage her to look at more of the positive things that she brings to the table and why she was chosen in the first place.
Well, good. Has anyone said anything similar to you?
Yes. Yes, they have. A lot of them have, and I haven't had one bad remark or comment towards me. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any evidence that I will be badish. It's been all good things.
So what's the absolute worst that could happen if you believe that you would be a terrible director?
Either I get fired like my supervisor, or I just get put back in the position that I'm in now.
And what would be the best?
That I continue to do well, and that I eventually move up in the ranks and start my own, and be licensed and be a successful licensed counselor. So that's the best that can happen. That's what I want to happen.
So you said that a lot of people have been really positive about this so far. So we are going to move to the outcome column because we want to figure out what we're going to do from here and how we're going to move on with these automatic thoughts and adaptive responses and how we're going to mesh everything together. So how much do you now believe every automatic thought on a 0 to 100? So the automatic thought of being underqualified and that you're just going to be terrible at being a director. On 0 to 100%, how much do you believe that now?
Like 10%.
Good.
But definitely like 10 or lower percent.
And what about that your coworkers won't respect you if you turn down the job because they might think that you either they won't respect you because you don't think you can take on that much responsibility or that you're not a hard worker, things like that.
I probably need to give them a lot more credit than I am. And I'm going to say like a 5, if that. Like, I know that they will be supportive of whatever because they love me now at this position. So why not love me in another one, or if I continue to stay? So I know that they'll appreciate and care about me regardless.
Good. So what emotion do you feel now? Like returning back to work, even if she comes in and says all the paperwork's in, you're ready to go as the director, what emotion will you feel walking in there?
I would feel excited, qualified, and I don't know, I feel good. Like, I feel positive about it. So I would, everything opposite. Like, I'm not embarrassed about it anymore. I'm not anxious about it anymore. Like, there's very little with both of those, but I feel qualified and prepared.
And what intensity would you give those emotions, 0 to 100?
Qualified, I would say like a 90%. And I would give the other one maybe 95%.
Good. So we made some progress here today. So going back to work, now we need a plan. We need to figure out what you're going to do when you go back and someone says, hey, this promotion's here and it's ready. Are you ready to go? Yeah. So using your adaptive responses to try to maybe push those automatic thoughts out of your head, out of like the limelight of your thought process. What are you going to do when you go back and she says, this is ready?
I'm going to say, give me the promotion. So I would accept that promotion.
And you would be able to do that with the backing of your coworkers and your whole support system because everybody's just pushing you to do this because they think that you will just be great at it.
Right, and I know that they will support me, so I have no doubt that my coworkers won't back me up, and I'll be able to ease into the new position without any problems.
Okay, well, I hope in our session next week I'll get to hear that you're the brand new director of your organization. And I hope you use your adaptive responses the way that we talked about and keep using your calming techniques and your yoga related meditation stuff, and you'll be just fine.
All right.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you.